Welcome to the Unicorn After Dark. We're not only talking about all things independent comics, but everything comics. I'm Mikey.
I'm Seamus.
And today, people are back at it again with episode 31 of Indie Corner After Dark. Kind of an impromptu episode. I mean, a little bit.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, a good episode, I hope, potentially. But yeah, we're going to be doing another review, new segment of the Indie Corner After Dark, which we haven't done in a while because the last one we did was the best and worst. Which again, people who have watched that video, thank you so much. We appreciate it. But yeah, we're going to be kind of doing what Seamus described in our chats earlier today, a Marvel 2-in-1 per se. Right? So we're going to be doing kind of a double review. The first half is going to be reviewing Captain America: Brave New World because I finally had a chance to watch it this morning. And the second half will be a review for the first 3 episodes of Daredevil: Born Again. And yeah, so that's pretty much the agenda on that. Thank you, Seamus, as always, for joining me. So hopefully it's gonna be a good time. We're gonna have a nice little discussion here.
Yeah, you know, I love any excuse to just bitch and
I
complain.
know. bitch come to any excuse to bitch, complain, and glaze. So
glaze occasionally. I feel like I'm not glazing as much anymore, but I do. I'm selective with I have a very discerning glaze.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
But real quick, people, just real quick, as for people that don't know, I just want to say, because I just did a convention, I did BlurCon last weekend up in DC, and for those people that are gonna watch this, after this is off the live stream and I posted on my story, thank you so much for coming to the table. Thank you so much, people that went to support, bought some artwork for me. That was great experience, and BlurCon's always a good time, so I just appreciate the love. And yeah, Seamus, we gotta get you out there next year, bro. That's gotta be the plan.
One day I'll be there. I'll be carrying your shit behind you.
I'll hold you to it, Seamus. I'll hold you to it. Yeah, bro. So let's just get right into it. Let's get to the nitty gritty, bro. Yeah. So just for starters, so Captain America: Brave New World came out, Valentine's Day in February. And yeah, bro. So we're just gonna be doing because it's been out. Usually when we do reviews that are closer to the release date, we do like a non-spoiler review, then a spoiler review. But since it's been out already, we're just gonna go straight into just a non-spoiler, just a straight spoiler review. All right. Yeah, Seamus. So just give me your overall thoughts real quick, because we're going to be going through. Just give me your overall thoughts, what you liked, what you did, and then we'll go into characters and stuff like that.
I think this movie is the epitome of the state of Marvel Cinematic Universe today. I think it is a movie that absolutely squandered its potential, and it feels very cobbled together, and it doesn't feel too coherent. And it is a movie that makes me sad because it feels like watching The Undertaker wrestle post WrestleMania 30. And you're just like, oh, dude, I love you, but I think this ended a long time ago. And I think it's a movie that squanders Anthony Mackie. It squanders almost every actor who's in it because a lot of them give good performances, but they're just not given enough to do to make those performances memorable in any way, And it's a movie that just I don't know why it exists. I don't know what kind of story they were trying to tell with this. They didn't really. It just felt like a bunch of things happening in sequence. They didn't really feel like it was, together in a way that the old Marvel movies used to feel. I felt like I was questioning, why are we doing the Lear? Why is Sabra here? Why is Red Hulk showing up? Do you have any reason for this, or were you just looking through Marvel characters that you haven't used yet and went, oh, we could use those guys? They were in a movie almost 20 years ago. And it's not a bad movie, but it is the most disappointing Marvel movie. It's not as bad as Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. No, it's on the same level of Eternals for me, in the sense that it's a movie that feels like it should have been way better, but ended up
Mm-hmm.
I'll get into it later, but I just feel like the general plot and direction of this movie was so I totally felt like they did 8 rounds of reshoots, because this movie just feels like it was just like stuff happening and characters were cut and shit was cut, and now it's just this weird little like It feels like one of those 6-issue one of those runs that's supposed to be an ongoing but gets canceled after 6 issues, and then you're kind of like, well, that happened, and then they just move on, you know.
Okay.
Like I remember Avengers Inc.
Yeah.
It feels like Avengers Inc., where like you get through 4 issues and then they got canceled, and then you're like, and then the characters show up in other books and they're like, yeah, I guess that happened, and you're like, oh, why the hell did I? You know, what I mean, I like that, but why did I read that? If nothing was going to happen, either it doesn't really, nothing really has any ramifications for the universe as a whole, because none of this stuff is going to get brought up at all ever, because we're going right into Secret Wars soon, so we're not going to get this shit referenced, and it doesn't tell a compelling story enough on its own that as a movie it's a good movie. So it just ends up being this weird mess that I'm just not happy with, because I love Anthony Mackie as Falcon and Captain America now, and I just hate that he was used this way in this movie. It makes me sad.
I gotcha. Yeah, I'll say my 2 cents. With this movie, I mean, granted, I'm like, I don't know if I'm like the 1%, but like before this movie was coming out, when it was announced, I was excited because I really enjoyed Falcon Winter Soldier. And I love Sam as Cap in the comics, and I love Anthony Mackie. I mean, that's my dog, that's my boy.
Yeah.
But I was worried, you know, due to the amount of reshoots that were taking place, and also this was a movie that was made during before Bob Iger was there. That's when like Bob Chapek was there, and then that's when he was like that was during the time where like he was trying to pump out as much stuff as possible to keep momentum going, which inevitably hurt the MCU and gave Feige less creative control. So I mean, I figured this movie was going to be one of the last ones under that, you know, oversight. So I honestly thought, like, I mean, the best this movie could be was like mid, in my opinion. But I was still looking forward to it. I mean, I like that Harrison Ford was recast. Well, William Hurt was recast. And with Harrison Ford taking his place as Ross. The whole president angle I thought was really interesting. I just wanted more of like, you know, the government espionage stuff that, you know, the previous Cap movies set up, because I love that genre in the MCU a lot. And then this movie came out and I didn't see it, and then until like this morning. And I thought this movie was just okay. So it's kind of what I expected it to be. The plot isn't really, when you look at the plot from like, you know, just bare bones, it's not really that interesting at all. I mean, but I honestly thought what made me enjoy the movie, even though the plot wasn't really all there, and the reshoots definitely showed for sure. Like, it just, because like you said, I agree, the pacing was kind of all over the place. Was the performances. I thought the performances were great. I thought that like the cast in general was pretty good, and they kind of carried the movie for me. But yeah, like I didn't really think a lot of the story elements were that interesting. I wanted a little bit more. It was too mediocre for me, and a lot of tropes that we've seen before in, you know, government espionage type movies before were all there. You know, so I just didn't think it was really that strong story wise. But there are aspects of it that I thought were interesting. But yeah, overall, I was like, this movie's good. This movie, I mean, the performances are good, but the movie itself is just okay. But I thought Anthony Mackie did a good job, and then we'll go through the performances and the cast individually. But I wanted more from it though. I thought the script could have been way stronger and way more impactful. But
I think we'll talk about Daredevil later. This and Daredevil have very similar issues for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the difference is that Daredevil has a lot more interesting stuff to build off of, that even Daredevil being mid is still really good. You know what I mean? Like Daredevil throwing out a mid-season, still like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. But Falcon and all these characters had buildups that were already like 5 out of 10s. So even their mid can only get as high as a 5 out of 10. You know what I mean? Which is where this movie hit, where it was like, yeah, they might have done the best they could, but like even then, that's still like a very 5 out of 10 movie that you're just like, why did I even see that? Like I could have done what you did, because I saw it in theaters and I'm like, I was walking away from it going, I should have just fucking watched that on Disney Plus when it comes out. Like, you know, so it makes me sad. And I'm gonna bitch about these characters in a minute because I feel like they could have been utilized way better, but
but yeah, I mean we'll just go into characters then if that's the case. So we'll just move on. But yeah, we'll just start off with obviously the main character. Actually, I have them both. I have two of the main leads on one slide. But Captain America and the new Falcon, which is played by Anthony Mackie and Danny Ramirez. Listen, I mean, even though the story wasn't, was pretty weak. I thought Anthony Mackie did a good job of what he was given, with the script that he was given. There's his charisma, his kind of like, I did enjoy him, stepping more into the role of Captain America. Even though he's getting more comfortable with it, he still has his doubts from, what he experienced in Falcon Winter Soldier, with his doubts of did Steve make the right decision, choosing him to take up the mantle. That was really interesting. Yeah, other than that, I mean, I don't really got much to say. I mean, I like Anthony Mackie in the role. He's gonna come back. So I mean, I just want to see more of him. But yeah, and Danny Ramirez playing Joaquin. Again, didn't really do much. He was just mostly the sidekick. But I did like, his chemistry and his banter that he bounced off of Mackie a lot. I thought they worked really good together. And they kind of reminded me of the camaraderie between Sam and Steve a little bit. There are aspects of that in here. And he was fun. He was just a fun, just sidekick, but obviously nothing really that substantial. What do you think?
I agree. I agree. These guys have great chemistry. They're both seem like they're good actors. It's just the script and the direction just give them nothing interesting to do. It's just literally it's literally the worst version of a Marvel movie where they're all action figures and they're all video game characters told to go from point A to point B and just and then they just do that and then they do something on their way and then they get there and they're like, oh, guess we got to go to the next thing. And it's there's no theme, there's no sense of structure, there's no character arc where people are really because they already did the can Sam be Captain America? Does he deserve it? Whatever in Falcon and Winter Soldier. And they don't give him anything new. They just kind of do a rehash of that, but in a way worse and way less impactful way. And it's so what's the point of doing this movie if you're not going to give him a Captain America movie where he's already fit into the role of Cap, and now he has to actually deal with his own personal decisions on, okay, what would me as Cap do? Not am I worthy of being?
Would do.
Yeah. And it's frustrating that he gets reduced back. His character gets turned back. And like you said, Danny Ramirez is I liked him a lot. He had great chemistry with Anthony Mackie. It's just he only gets 5 scenes and he doesn't really get to do much except be a little sidekick for 2 seconds and then that's it. And
then gets knocked out of the sky.
Yeah, and then he has no meaningful impact on the story. He's got nothing interesting. It's literally just him being charismatic, which he's good at, but that it doesn't make for an incredible movie unless you're really, really charismatic. It's sorry to say, with this script, no one's allowed to be that charismatic, But it's a very disappointing character usage for both of these guys, because I know these guys could be used in such interesting and fun ways. Because Anthony Mackie has been him in fucking Winter Soldier. He's so good.
Great.
He's so good. And now he's just reduced to this oh Steve, oh what would Steve do? And it's dude, they already worked through that. And
that's what bothered me too. I was we haven't gotten Falcon or Winter Soldier in the past it's been a couple years since that show came out, and I'm y'all are still doing the whole juggling with this Sam Sam's still struggling to accept the role. He embraced the role at the end of the fucking series.
Yeah, he embraced the role. and then now put out a movie where now it's society's turn to embrace Sam as Cap, and then have that be the issue. And then guess what? Then you could do an entire interesting plot about systemic racism in the government and shit like that. Maybe have something to say about a black Captain America who's supposed to be the face of the country, leading the country, when there are people in the government who very obviously don't want a black man to be the face of the country. That would be interesting, and maybe
I was hoping they did
that. About that, right?
I was hoping they did that,
especially using Isaiah Bradley. You'd think that they would have something more to say about like the racial tensions in this country, and the fact that there's so much systemic racism in the government that Sam being Cap in the first place is such an anomaly. You know, like it just frustrates me to no end that there were so many opportunities that seemed so easy. It seemed like a layup to just do this shit. It seemed
like
so
the bones,
easy.
Like the bones. Yeah. There were bones there to do that, and I was very disappointed by it.
And it would be interesting to like, I'll talk about the leader later, but it would be interesting to have the leader be a third party in the kind of struggle between Sam and Thunderbolt Ross, where the leader is manipulating these systemic structures in the government to get what he wants, and his character should have been more trying to push Sam to do the same thing, to be like, these people don't care about you. The systemic nature of the government and culture as a whole is supposed to keep you down. So what you should be doing is you should be utilizing every loophole, every trick in the book to get ahead of them and to fuck them over, because fuck them. And Sam should be this kind of middle ground character who's like, I don't really want to I don't know, because he is a character who served in the military, so obviously he would have some attachment to the military, even the government and systemic structures as a whole, given that he is, you know, he served. So like, no matter the reaction from the government towards him, he's still going to have some affinity toward it. But I think it'd be interesting to put him in that kind of power struggle where Thunderbolt Ross is kind of, he's both trying to be used as a pawn by two different dudes, and Sam, you know, confident enough that he is Captain America, knowing that he's fucking Captain America, goes, fuck both of you. I'm fucking Captain America. Why am I trying to be used as a pawn?
Yeah.
And Danny Ramirez the whole time should be like, you're Captain America. Let's fucking get these guys.
Yeah, let's fucking do this. Yeah.
But instead, they're just both toothless. They're just characters who are just there. And that's it. And it's very sad. And I love Sam. Oh, fuck, I love Sam.
I love Sam as Cap. And the thing is, like,
I love Anthony Mackie, goddammit.
And I remember that interview, during that interview that got like a bunch of controversy, where it was like, oh, like when he was like, oh, like Captain America doesn't really represent America. There were I was getting hints of that in this, where it's like, even though Cap was given orders by Ross to step down and be aside, he was like, no, like I want to like investigate and to like, you know, prove like Isaiah's innocence, because I know something's up.
That was such Captain America shit, and it was only for like 2 seconds. And I was like, for a split second, they had me believe that. I was like, holy shit, that's fucking Cap. You know what I mean? Because Cap, at the first moment, because he's not a government agent. He's not an actual captain in the government, which is why I was so interested when Thunderbolt Ross was like, I want to make Captain America an official position in the government again. And Sam had that kind of affinity, you know, that affinity towards the government and the military, that he was interested in that. And I thought that was a really interesting kind of play to make, you know, and eventually have Sam build up to the point where he understands Steve, and he's like, no, actually, fuck these guys. They don't want me to serve with them. They want me to serve under them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that would be such an interesting arc, but instead they just kind of go, and then just move on, you know? And it's really disappointing what they do with them.
It is. But yeah, I mean, I got nothing really else to say. I mean, love these two. I'm looking forward to seeing them again.
God bless both these actors, because they did their best with what they were given, and they were not given much.
Yeah, but the writing, like, I just wanted more substantial arc. Like, do the shit that you did in Falcon Winter Soldier with the social commentary of a black man being Captain America, especially now embedded in the government. Now the government doesn't want to see him as Captain America because of systemic issues that they instill. Like, that would have been such a good like arc, and like Sam resisting that and being like, no, fuck you, I don't work for you, I don't work under you, I work for the people,
I work for the fucking people, man.
Yeah,
I'm like America, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, do something, dude.
like Loki, like Fred Hampton type shit. You know what I mean? Like I wanted something like that. Yeah, no, it's upsetting.
It's crazy. This movie had fucking 5 screenwriters, and you'd think one of them at some point would be like, "Hey, maybe we should do this really easy layup story that would be exciting."
Which is crazy because like wasn't Malcolm Campbell, like wasn't he one of the writers, and he did Falcon Winter Soldier? I was like, what happened?
Yeah,
like,
what the fuck happened? You know what happened? They went through 8 different script rewrites and 8 different reshoots after Kevin Feige came back in and went, "Nuh-uh, man, that doesn't work for me, brother."
Yeah.
Like,
oh man, but yeah, let's move on real quick to the next set. So this probably will be quick. So Isaiah Bradley and Sabra, played by Carl Lumbly and Shira Haas. First off, when I say Carl Lumbly, didn't realize how big this man was. I always forgot how big this man was for his age.
Dude, he's fucking. When that gym scene showed up, I was like, "Oh my god, dude, you don't need to be doing all that."
Exactly. But yeah, again, another character was like he's just a plot device, but like, you know, and like he didn't really he was just there just to like just to motivate Sam to do whatever he needed to do for the plot.
Yeah.
And it was upsetting because like, well, granted, there were moments, I think I texted you about it before we started. That was like there was that moment where like where Isaiah like he runs into the park, obviously from mind control, and he like snaps out of it, and he was like, "What's going on?" And then he realized that he's gonna go to jail. And it's like Sam, please don't let them take me back to prison, because like because this man was in prison for 30 years, like by the U.S. government. They took his life. He did not want to go back to that. That's his worst nightmare. I loved that. It broke my heart a little bit.
And that moment would have hit so much harder in a plot about the government using its systemic powers to keep, you know, people like Isaiah Bradley and Sam Wilson under them instead of with them. You know what I mean? And I think having him play a very similar role, but in a different story would be like incredible. Because if you have Isaiah Bradley there all the time basically going like, Sam, don't, these guys are not on your side. These guys are going to talk you up. They're going to sweet talk you. But they, at the end of the day, would throw you in prison at the first sign of trouble rather than stand behind you as Captain America. So you have to stand behind yourself, and you got to make yourself the beacon of truth, hope, and justice, and not put your trust in these guys who have regularly and systemically shown you that they don't give a fuck about you. You know what I mean? And I think Isaiah Bradley doing that while in prison and being like, Sam, you cannot trust these people would be incredible, because that's what Isaiah Bradley should be. Isaiah Bradley should be the guy who's like, fuck every single person in the government because they want to kill me, you know?
And again, like there were essence of that, but they just wouldn't go for it, you know? They were it's Feige being like, oh, don't be pushing buttons now. Don't be too
exactly.
Too woke. Don't be too woke.
Exactly. And it's like, okay, so you're basically gonna allow this very safe black representation of Black Panther to exist, where, you know, we're celebrating being black and black culture and all that. But as soon as a Captain America movie comes along, where you actually get to maybe do some commentary on the different struggles of what it's like being black in America, you all of a sudden tap out and go, we don't want to talk about that. It's like, well, you know, it is a story that needs to be told, especially right now. And also, it just would have been really interesting for Marvel to do something that maybe they haven't done before, you know, like a more charged political commentary on what it is like to be, you know, black in America nowadays, instead of just doing like some, like, you know, Black Panther where you know, I love Black Panther, you know, Wakanda forever, Mikey.
Oh Jesus.
No, I love Black Panther, but like it's also cool to see an interesting discussion of race in America, because race in America that's like, America was built on that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It is a wound that has been in America's heart for ages, since it was born. You know what I mean? The first thing they did after creating this country was go, let's talk about abolishing slavery 10 years down the line. We got too much on our plate right now. You know what I mean? But like, to see a black man as Captain America, as the face of America, and to see him team up with this older, Captain America who, should have stood side by side Steve, but the government threw him in
Literally was
prison
like,
for
no.
doing his job.
Yeah.
That's such a layup story. That's so easy to tell, and they just don't do it. They just kind of give you this toothless version, this like 50s version where it's
like we're gonna do like, we may do it, we may not, and then next thing they just throw him in prison just to be like, okay, like Sam, now you find out who's doing this. It's just a toothless plot device that could have had more impact.
Exactly.
But I love Isaiah. Like I love Isaiah in the comics.
But that's the thing. The reason this movie isn't a 1, because it should be a 1 from all of the technical aspects and all of the production aspects. The reason it's not a 1 is because 90% of the actors in this movie fucking act their asses off. Carl Lumbly fucking acts his ass off. Anthony Mackie, Danny Ramirez, Harrison Ford. All of them fucking they're like trying to make this movie really good, and they are doing their best. God damn it!
Yeah, but I mean, nonetheless, I mean, Carl Lumbly. I mean, I thought for what he did, what you say, he did a good job. What he was given.
Oh, good.
I wanted more. I wanted my I just love Isaiah. The fact that I can even say that Isaiah has been adapted in live action is crazy. But they aren't pushing the storytelling potential with him.
They want to adapt. They want to adapt all these characters, and they want to. It's such a like a toothless corporate facade of oh, my mind's blanking. I'm thinking I got too much going on. It's such a toothless corporate facade of representation where they want to, throw in oh, look, Black Captain America, look at that. But they don't actually want to talk about the ramifications of being a Black Captain America who has to work with the government. You know what I mean? They want to keep all that stuff we don't want to anger the U.S. government or talk about how bad the U.S. government treats Black people, because half the time, half of our movies are funded by the U.S. government. You know what I mean? We get so many tax breaks and military funding to showcase the military in these Captain America movies that if we did that, they wouldn't give us free money anymore. And it's just so disgusting that they don't want to touch that for that sake.
Yeah, but...
And yeah, sure, I shouldn't be looking to Marvel to do any kind of insightful political commentary, but they did it in the comics. It's not exactly out of their realm.
It's not new. Yeah. It's not new shit, man.
Sam Wilson as Captain America is almost 15 years old.
That's crazy too. Yeah,
isn't that crazy? Right. He's almost 15. What the fuck are we doing? You can't at least do some anything that's interesting in this movie. You got to make it as toothless as possible.
Real quick.
I don't even want to talk about this next. I don't even want to.
Well, I'm gonna say something just real quick, and but before we do that, did you peep that did not mention Eli at all? Once you have a fight in Disneyland, it's over.
Fucking, you couldn't even at least said that oh yeah, my nephew's out somewhere doing something else.
No, because you heard what happened. The actor got in a fight.
He did.
With another family in Disneyland with his family, and it was
who cares? That happens. That happens when everyone's at Epcot doing the around the world and drinks thing. There's a fight every day there. Who gives a fuck?
Exactly. So that was what's disappointing. I'm just you're not gonna at least bring Eli with you. Come on now.
You're not at least gonna have Isaiah Bradley say, I don't want my nephew involved in this. Please leave him out of this. He's too young for this. And then just leaving it at that. Something like that.
It's upsetting. It's upsetting. Shout out to Mr. Brooks. What's up, Mr. Brooks? Said Disneyland squabbles, bro.
Exactly. We all had a Disneyland squabble. Come on.
But yeah, I mean, real quick, I mean, just on Sabra, I mean, I don't really give a shit about this character.
Terrible.
I mean, it was
terrible.
It was just what does she do besides just be the
terrible actress,
bodyguard?
Terrible character, terrible usage in the story, serves no purpose besides just being some government liaison. Who cares?
Yeah,
you couldn't have made this Sharon Carter and at least had some fun with it?
Bro, the fact that Sharon Carter isn't near this movie after what happened to Falcon Winter Soldier is crazy to me.
You couldn't have her show up and be the government liaison, and the whole time Sam's going, weren't you doing
weren't you an arms dealer?
Magic war? And the whole time she's like, you'll find out soon. You know what I mean? The whole time he's like, okay, she's like, listen, you can trust me this time.
Because remember at the end of Falcon Winter Soldier, the post-credit scene, she was infiltrating the government to get their secrets to sell to the highest bidder. Why did they not follow up with that shit?
Yeah,
honestly.
and Sam at the beginning, if Sharon Carter was in this movie and it was doing everything that I was talking about it doing earlier, at the beginning, Sam Wilson is super distrustful of her and is like thinking of like turning her in because he knows that she's there only to get government secrets to then sell to the highest bidder. But then as he slowly starts, through Isaiah Bradley's influence and his own influence, starts, openly defying the government and distrusting the government, he gets kind of more down with what she's doing. And he's kind of like, I'm not going to stop you, but like, just make sure you're not doing anything that's going to get like thousands of people killed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, again,
like if you want to fuck with the government a little, I'm okay with that. But like, as long as you're not going to hurt anyone, because then if you do, I'm coming after you.
Like
cool
when this
shit
shit was announced, like years ago, I was like, they better fall, because I love that angle that they took with Emily Van Camp's character. Like I loved that angle, and like they didn't. It's not like that would have been a much better use of like a government official character than Sabra. Like I didn't really.
The fucking Israeli, yeah. Now's a really good time to introduce the Israeli character who in the comics is only known for killing kids and going so far in terms of violence and destruction that even the Hulk's like, holy shit, you're evil, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Like,
yeah,
and especially now with like you're gonna introduce a prominent Israeli character in a very politically charged movie, and then again have nothing to say about
nothing
that.
to say about it.
You're gonna have nothing to say. You're not gonna even make any reference to anything that's going on. You're just gonna sit there and be like, yeah, that's Sabra. That's guys like Sabra. Comics, right?
Yeah, y'all.
And they don't even make her a mutant from the comics. They make her a fucking Black Widow, which like
they make her. Yeah.
Guess what? I will never give a fuck about the Red Room. Stop trying to make me give a fuck about the Red Room. I don't care about Yelena Belanova. I don't care about Black Widow. I don't even fucking give a fuck about Red Guardian. I don't care about Taskmaster. All of those fuckers that touch the Red Room are damaged goods at this point because no one cares and they keep trying to make me care. I don't give a shit. Just say they're trained assassins. Stop trying to be like, oh, they're all. Just be like, yeah, she's just a trained specialist. Who gives a fuck about the Red Room? God damn it.
Well,
I'm gonna be so pissed in Thunderbolts when they mention it 80 times because half.
Yeah, well, for me, in terms of the Red Room stuff, I mean, the whole Red Room thing is just I don't really care much about. But like, I mean, I like Yelena. Right? I like Yelena.
I like Yelena.
I like Red Guardian.
I like them. I don't like when they are red. Like they're I was trained in the Red Room. Oh, I'm a Red.
Okay, you just don't like Red Room acknowledgement.
Yeah, I just don't like Red Room acknowledgement. I don't like when there's a lot of importance placed on it because who cares like where they grew up? It's literally all off of one side conversation that Joss Whedon wrote in Avengers: Age of Ultron, where Black Widow says that she can't have kids because they removed her uterus in the Red Room, and then all of a sudden this Red Room's now it's this big evil
honestly,
thing.
When I heard, I was like, when they said like she's ex Red Room, I was like, okay, but then I thought about, I was like, wait, why didn't she just like immediately like she should be locked in the raft? Like,
why are they letting Israelis train there? I thought they were all Russian. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why all of a sudden isn't Israeli allowed in there?
It's like, crazy. It's crazy.
Like, why would Russia allow a basically a United States surrogate to train in the Red Room?
Well, granted, didn't they establish that like a lot of the Black Widows were taken like all across the country? So like it doesn't.
Yeah, but come on,
it's children,
Yeah, but it just doesn't make no goddamn sense.
I think it makes sense for she's in Red Room, whatever. But like, why is she like locked? Why does she have government clearance? Why shouldn't she should be locked in the raft? She can literally take out the entire government by herself. No, it makes no sense. But Sabra.
I think her usage is horrible. I think the actress is horrible. She looks like a little Israeli gnome the entire time going, I'm going to destroy you. And she's like 2'3", and she just does like the weakest fucking action scenes I've ever seen. And I hate her. I hated every minute of her. I wish it was Sharon Carter instead of her. She was so annoying. She was so frustrating. And the fact that they put an Israeli in this movie right now is disgusting. A movie that's funded by the United States military putting an Israeli character in there, absolutely disgusting to me. It's insane that you're not even allowed to say Free Palestine on Disney, anything Disney related. You have to be quiet about it. Fucking insane to me. Gross. Yeah. It's gross.
It's bad. But we got to cool off. Actually, no, this part also pissed me off.
No, yeah, we can't call out. This movie had so many issues, and I wish it were better.
But yeah, moving on to Isaiah from Isaiah and Sabra. So Sidewinder, played by Giancarlo Esposito. Listen, waste of an actor, waste of an amazing actor. What is going on here? He showed up to just. You say your thought. You say your thought.
I was gonna say, why are we cutting out the rest of the Serpent Society? Why the fuck isn't Seth Rollins in this movie?
Because like Seth Rollins was in there. Rosa Salazar, who's an amazing actress, was in there.
And you cut him out, and you don't even have the balls to put Giancarlo in a cool fucking costume where he looks like a snake, because he ripped that shit. And you just have him be like this mercenary with a long coat and a gun, and it's like, who the fuck is that? This feels like an adaptation. This feels like an adaptation that was done in 2008, when we had to eat shit and accept that this is the Mandarin, or like, you know what I mean? This is this character, and it's like just a military dude with like a kind of like, it felt like, this totally felt like an ultimate adaptation from like 2006. Like when you'd see like ultimate like Blade or like ultimate Black Panther, and you'd be like, it's just a military dude, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's just a regular mercenary. I was so disappointing. I mean, it's Giancarlo Esposito. He has fun with it, but like, it's just like you. The whole time I was thinking like, you could have been any other Marvel character that like.
He was in this movie for 5 minutes.
He was.
He was there. Baron Zemo.
Yeah, it could have been Baron Zemo.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. He was just there just to like, to do hostage shit, to intercept Sam Wilson out of nowhere. And then get kidnapped, and then be an informant, and then that's it. And it was just like, what a waste. I was so disappointed. Like, again, like, for people that don't know, this man was like mostly everyone's pick to be like Xavier or like Magneto. Like, this is how good that is a role that's up to his caliber of acting prowess right now. Like, I mean, not just random, not just comic book, not just random mercenary who is a nod to like, who is a far-fledged of like, who's a distant interpretation of like a well-known like, supervillain team in the Marvel universe. Like, it's just like in Marvel Comics. I was like, come on, man. So like, I don't really got nothing else to say. I'm just like, I mean, Giancarlo, I love you, but like, I'm pissed that you accepted this role. But I do feel like if they had, like Seth Rollins, and Rosa Salazar in there as well, it would have been way more interesting if they were able to play off of each other. But like, even still, like, just to see like this is what quote unquote Serpent like it turned out to be, it's like, what a waste, man. It's like, what a waste. At least do something dope with it,
At least give him the costume. Why are we still scared of adapting comic book costumes in 2025? Like, I cannot wait until James Gunn's DCU comes out and everyone's wearing like classic like costumes from the comics, and Marvel's still over here giving us military adaptations of a guy named Stiltman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm the military specialist who develops stilts to climb fucking walls and shoot down any like Middle Eastern guy over in Iraq. And you're like, what the fuck am I watching? This guy used to be a fucking guy who used stilts to rob banks, and now he's like randomly a military guy. What the fuck?
Think about this, bro. I just thought of this. Diamondback in Luke Cage season 1 was a better interpretation than this. Think about that, because they actually did do the suit, and they did kind of do powers.
They did, and we had issues with that when that happened. And now looking back, I'm like, damn, can we go back?
Let's go back to that. If it is something that was close to that, that would have been way better than this, man. But yeah, I got nothing to say, man. Listen, Giancarlo, I love you.
I don't want to talk about Giancarlo anymore. It makes me sad.
Yeah, I love you. I love you, bro.
I love you, Giancarlo. God bless you. I hope he gets to play a romantic comedy lead in the future, because I feel like he needs to do something where he's actually like a nice, happy guy. Because dude, him and Do the Right Thing is so good. He's so energetic in that role.
It's funny. I was watching that at Sean's place, like before we went to the con, was Do the Right Thing. And I was like, so good. Like, come on.
He's so good.
All right, man. So the next character, who is also, I guess, kind of a big deal. And this is a big part of this movie. But President Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, played by Harrison Ford. I'll say this just off rip. Again, I love Harrison Ford. Like, doing like what he does best in this movie. although his character wasn't really much, it was just I hate. I'm just a power hungry guy, which again that is kind of Thunderbolt Ross in the comics. But it's just like it's just like him just being like power hungry, just president. I was like, okay, I see what you're doing here, but like again, you could have done more with this. You could have done more with this angle. And then he turned into Red Hulk, and like that was cool, I guess. I don't really got nothing much to say on Ross. I'm just like, I love Harrison Ford's performance in it, but like just the what they gave him to work with just wasn't as good as it should have been. Wasn't as impactful. Which is the same for all the characters.
It's the same. Yeah, same issue with every other character. Harrison Ford, great actor. Even him putting in no effort still leads to a great performance that you end up having fun with. But like when you actually look at his role in the story and his actions on the story, he doesn't really do much except kind of like gets played a lot. You know what I mean? Because the whole thing with him getting played with Japan and all the fucking the Eternals Island and shit and all that, where Tiamat's there, and you're just like, what's going on, man? Like, what? This character is so mired. He is a character who is so straightforward in the comics. He is a dude who hates the Hulk and wants to defend normal people from people who have powers because he views all of those people as dangerous. And he creates the Thunderbolts as a subservient team full of people who need to work under his command, so that way he can fight other superpowered people. Which
I didn't get that at all in here because literally it was just like he's like, oh, I'm trying to change, and I'm like, oh, I'm like trying to make amends with Betty, and like I want to restart the Avengers. I'm like, but you hate the Avengers though. Like,
you should hate the Avengers. You hated the Avengers. You hated the idea of the Avengers working for themselves. And what, you're gonna restart the Avengers under the U.S. government because no one's gonna join again after Civil War, and especially after Endgame, where they all came back together and went, yeah, joining with the government would have been a really bad idea. Like, I don't know. It's he Harrison Ford. Love him in this. I watched all of Shrinking with my mom the other week. He's great in that. Great. He, like I said, even him giving like a half-ass performance is still great. It's just he's giving a half-ass performance, and again, nothing to fucking do except turn into Red Hulk at the end. So
yeah, I mean, well, granted, one part I thought was interesting was like how we treated like Stearns. I was like, okay, yeah, locking Stearns in a freaking lab for like 16 years to have him do his bidding so that he can boost him up in the political ladder because he had no chance of doing it with his previous reputation. That I like. I was like, that I see what you're doing there, Marvel. I see what you're doing there. With a similar. World leader that we have right now, unfortunately. We're kind of in the same thing, but like again, make that more apparent, like feed into that with the narrative more. But like, but again, and like, but like that part of the story with his character, I was like, yeah, that's some shit Ross would do in order to start to create loopholes, to move himself up into like the highest position of office to enact his agenda of being anti-vendors to form a Thunderbolt so that he has a team under his control, but they didn't do that.
And guess what? Guess fucking what? That would have played very nicely into what a certain mayor is doing in another thing, which we are going to talk about in literally 20 minutes.
Very much.
And that would have been some cool synergy to see these two characters mentioning each other and working together because they both hate superpowered people.
Wouldn't it have been crazy if Ross was like, Loki, like, oh, like that Fisk and running for mayor. I endorse him.
Me and Mayor Fisk are working together to create task force to reduce the use of superpowered people because they are causing too much destruction, they're killing too many people, and they're defending too many innocent people that we don't like. You know what I mean?
And it would have been crazy to like, because they're doing, with Daredevil, they're doing the whole nod to Devil's Reign. Would have been crazy if like Ross creates his Thunderbolts to have Wilson use to enact his anti-vigilante propaganda agenda, like how we did in the comics, like have his own.
And then the Thunderbolts movie could have been about the actual Thunderbolts redeeming themselves after realizing they got played by the government. And guess what? They go after Thunderbolt Ross. So the Thunderbolts are called the Thunderbolts because they're hunting the Thunderbolt. And then at the end, the Thunderbolts, instead of fighting Sentry for whatever fucking reason and working under Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, instead they work for themselves. And at the end, it's a bunch of these like lower level people fighting a fucking Hulk.
Yeah.
Which is a little more believable if a bunch of lower leveled super soldiers beat a Hulk, because that would make a little more
the Hulk makes a lot more sense. Not the Void, not a world, not a universe ender.
It's crazy that it's almost like if you think for 3 more seconds, you come up with infinitely more interesting possibilities for this movie, and then it makes this movie inexcusable for how boring it is. And I think anyone defending this movie is just straight up they're mired. They don't understand that this movie, with the money that's behind it, with the power that's behind it, with how much power Disney has, this movie should be fucking incredible. But instead, it's just kind of It's like, I guess I liked it, and that's inexcusable.
Well, so how did you think of how Sam was able to stop Red Hulk? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, they had to make. It's just funny to me that they were like, well, Sam's black, of course he would have vibranium powers, and you're like, do they all really have to have vibranium powers? Like
literally, like him talking down Ross to calm him down. I kept laughing because I was just like, all I can think of was like, hey, big guy, the sun's getting real low.
I think what they should have done is they should have give Sam new wings at the end that were made of adamantium, and then have Sam put 3 of his quills up and then recreate the Wolverine cover, but instead it's Sam versus Red Hulk. And then you could have done a cute little nod to another Hulk fight, but instead, you know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, that's cool. Sam gets new wings. The new wings are made out of the new material, adamantium, and adamantium is so strong it's able to cut the Hulk. And then that could lead up to like a when they introduce Wolverine in the MCU, you get Hulk versus Wolverine proper, And I think that would be more interesting than being like, yeah, Sam has vibranium because Wakanda gave it to him. And it's like, I don't know about that. Like,
yeah, right.
Wakanda didn't even give Bucky vibranium, and he lived there.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, overall, seeing him transform for the first time was just fucking crazy, because like Harrison Ford was going for it. He was like, yes, he was.
Dude, and like they teased the fire powers, and then they just didn't use them.
They didn't use it. I was so pissed about that.
I was like, why are you gonna tease him having? Because then that just makes no sense. Then just don't tease the fire powers at all.
Like the shots in the trailer,
fireballs.
Like the shots in the trailer of like like the White House exploding. I was like, oh, she's gonna use like the madder he gets, the hotter he gets. But they didn't really do that. All they hinted at that when he transformed. That was it. I was like, why?
Stupid.
Why do
it's
that?
Stupid. Great. Yeah, don't pay that off. Set it up and then go fuck it. Like what?
Like at least like they just pretty much showed him like, oh, he's just another Hulk. When like, no, like show off the fire stuff too. That's what makes him different from the Hulk,
Yeah. All right. Let's move on.
Last one. And then last one, and then move on to Daredevil is the leader, aka Samuel Stearns, played by Tim Blake Nelson. Real quick, nice to see Tim Blake Nelson back.
Oh, I love Tim Blake Nelson.
But
I love
at the same, I mean, well, granted, I actually kind of liked his character. Like at least Tim Blake Nelson like performing as the leader, even though even though we all complained about the look.
This shit.
I know, right? Like we complained about like the look. I remember like because didn't do this concept art where he looked more like how he did in the comics.
Dude, I'm so pissed they didn't go with Big Head Leader.
I mean, I honestly think they could have done a mix. They should have done a mix of both, where it's like big head but like a little grosque.
They should have gone straight big head mode. It's just too iconic because he's got that fucking forehead on him, and it's just supposed to be so comically funny when he goes up against the Hulk, because it's this dude who all he has is a big head and he can think good versus the Hulk, and you're like
that's why I was lucky to find this photo of together, because I thought if they did a version like this, I would have been fine with it. I would have been more happy about it, like big head and a little grotesque. But I thought Tim Blake Nelson, it's the same argument. He did good what he was given. I did like how the fact that like he was like 10 steps ahead of everybody, low key. Like I like that.
He wasn't. They kept telling you he was, but he wasn't really. Like he was just constantly just like showing up to act like he's like, yeah, I actually am 10 steps ahead of everyone. But then he'd only be like a half step ahead of everyone. You know what I mean? I think what they should have done is they should have done they should have made the leader get caught in the opening instead of Sidewinder. And the leader gets caught trying to, like, you know, he escaped and he gets caught trying to sell the Sidewinder, and they both get caught, and the leader then is in prison the entire time his plan is unfolding. You know what I mean? And he's just sitting there the whole time, and they're like, is he doing this or what's going on? And the whole time he's just there. And every time Sam visits to go talk to Isaiah, he also talks to the leader every time. You know what I mean? And the leader the whole time is just like, you're not going to be able to stop what I'm doing. Like, it's not
kind of like a Hannibal Lecter situation.
Yeah, and you can't prove what I'm doing, and you're not going to be able to stop once it starts, and it's already started. So I'm sorry, you're fucked. And then, you know, that eventually leads to Red Hulk being unleashed and all that shit happening, and he eventually succeeds in the end. You know what I mean? In deposing Thunderbolt Ross as president. And I think it should be him, like I said earlier, playing Sam more towards to try to be like, yeah, you should kill all these guys. You should kill the guy. You know what I mean? And Sam being like, I don't really know if I'm comfortable with that. I might defy the government, but I don't know if I want to kill all of them. You know? And it's this cool dynamic that they could have done where the leader's like, he's a Black Mirror version of Sam. He's someone who decided to work with the government and got completely fucked over and imprisoned and tortured and you know, and fucked upon. And in that imprisonment, he slowly planned to overthrow the government, which he succeeded in doing. But they don't really ever make him seem that smart. They just make him seem kind of like sinister. And then all of a sudden it's over. And then he gets caught. He gets arrested in a random fucking university park. You know what I mean? And you're like, what the fuck was that? He shows up and kills Demolition Man. You know what I mean? With his fucking like, I'm gonna fucking like sound wave your brain and you're gonna explode. And it's like, I think if you were the leader, you would have been so smart that you would have been able to kill him without ever having to get near him. You know what I mean? It's just so stupid, and it's just like, I love Tim Blake Nelson. Him as Buster Scruggs is so fucking good. He's so good in every role, and he does his best, and he does pretty good. But I'm saying, if you gave me Tim Blake Nelson as actual Samuel Stearns, as like comic accurate, it would have been one of the best villain performances ever. But they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that.
True. But yeah, I mean, again, Tim Blake Nelson he did a good job of what he was given, but they could have just done more. Which again, that's the main complaint with like the entire movie. So
yeah.
Do you think we'll see him again?
No. I think you're gonna see him. You're gonna see him as a 2-second cameo in the background of Secret Wars, and then half this shit's gonna get rewritten and reset after Secret Wars anyway. So then they can do completely new shit with X-Men. And then we're gonna get 80 X-Men movies with like all the Stranger Things actors, and I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah. I thought that him using Thunderbolt Ross's, like, you know, dying heart, like his condition, to then turn him into a monster to prove his point, that was hilarious. And also I thought his post-credit scene was fucking pointless. What, you're making him Psycho Pirate for the Marvel universe, where he somehow knows I was thinking the same thing. I was like, he's just Psycho Pirate, like.
Yeah,
no.
It's funny when it's Psycho Pirate because it's Psycho Pirate. It's a guy no one's ever heard of who doesn't do anything, who suddenly is burdened with knowledge beyond our understanding. But with the leader, it makes too much sense that he would be that. So that's why it's not as funny. It's not as funny of a bit, you know?
I just thought it was whack. I was like, so he's so smart. He just predicted like the multiverse would like clash in on itself. I'm like, listen, the leader's that smart. He's not that smart. Nah, I mean,
if it was Sidewinder instead, and Sidewinder randomly got burdened with the knowledge that the universes are collapsing in on each other, and Giancarlo was there at the end going, "We're all fucked. We're all dead." It would have been incredible. You would have been like, "Holy shit!"
That would have been funny.
Right? Oh.
But yeah, the thing is, like, usually we do a theory section, but like the only theory I got is just like Adamantium's in the MCU, pretty much. Like,
my theory is that this movie is not going to matter in 2 years. In 2 years, this will be forgotten along with the Marvels. along with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, along with almost every other MCU movie from this phase that didn't do well, and every show that didn't do well, because they're gonna completely not care about any of this stuff that they're doing in these movies in Avengers Doomsday. Everything's gonna come out of nowhere. The only movie you're gonna really need to watch to set up Avengers Doomsday is literally just like Fantastic Four, and that's it. You know what I mean? And then that's going to be it. And then you're going to get a whole new, the Russo brothers are coming in to give you Deadpool and Wolverine on crack, you know? And then, and it's going to be the bones of Secret War, and it's not going to actually be any of the cool substance that Hickman puts in or Stan Lee put in back in the day. Not going to be any of that shit. It's going to be bullshit. It's just going to be like, here's 80-year-old Patrick Stewart talking to Tobey Maguire. Don't you guys love that? Don't worry about where this is going to go afterwards, because we're not really going to be making movies after this. We're just going to be giving you random fucking Netflix shows that like, here's the X-Men. We're not really going to give like an interesting take on the X-Men. It's just going to be like Wolverine and like Cyclops kissing while Jean Grey watches. And you're going to be like, fuck, dude. What are we doing? You know? And like, yeah, Adamantium in the MCU. Why the fuck weren't any of the countries that actually make Adamantium characters involved in the conflict? It was like Japan and America. So like what? You're teasing Silver Samurai coming back? You don't want to involve Canada or Russia so we don't get a Wolverine or a Mega Red reference? Or a fucking Lady Deathstrike? Fucking anyone? Mm-hmm. What are we doing?
Yeah, it was...
Wouldn't it have been way cooler to see the main villain instead of Japan be Russia? Wouldn't that have been a much cooler political commentary?
Mm-hmm. Like, honestly, I was surprised that, like, yeah, they focused on Japan, but they, like, I would have been more interested to have Russia or, like, Canada mention, like, you know, Department H, all that stuff. But,
anything cool. Anything. Mm-hmm. Anything that is interesting. Please.
Yeah.
Do anything.
But,
yeah. Well, Adamantium's in the MCU. By the time Wolverine comes around, I'm going to not care about any of this. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what's sad about it. It's like, cool, you introduce Adamantium. Adamantium comes from Celestials now. What the fuck's up with that? I don't care. I thought Adamantium was just a really strong metal. Like, they just, like, you know what I mean? I miss when comics wouldn't explain shit. And they would just come at you and be like, Adamantium, it's the strongest shit in the world. And every time I'd believe them and just go, okay. And then it'd be cool. But now it's got to be like, well, Adamantium is actually made from the soul of a celestial. And it's all the shit I don't care about. I don't care. It's like what Grant Morrison said. I don't give a fuck about who changes the tires on the Batmobile. It's the Batmobile. It's cool. Who cares? I don't care about who made Adamantium. I don't care.
And the thing is, like, I was even thinking, like, when they're talking about Adamantium in this movie, I was like, where's Adamantium? They never really explain it. Like, I thought it was like, just a meteorite that just crashed on Earth and then Adamantium, but like kind of like vibranium. But like, I don't even know that was the case. It was just there.
It's just there. They just came to you and said, this metal's fucking strong as hell, and it's coated this dude's bones, and he gets claws of it. And you're like, cool, that's sick. I don't care where it came from. It's a lot. It's already doing cool shit, so I don't need the explanation. But now they feel like they got to explain it in really stupid ways that aren't interesting at all. Adamantium coming from gods. Dumb. Why not just use Uru at that point? If you want to use fucking god metal. What the fuck? Like, none of this makes any goddamn sense. No one's thinking of anything. This is why, Mikey, for like the last year, every time we talk about anything MCU related, I just get really mad and bitch about it because it's becoming way more apparent, even more so than like 4 years ago, that no one has any idea what the fuck's going on. No one's trying to tell any kind of coherent story. It's just all of them throwing all these fucking action figures in your face and expecting me to go, oh, I liked Endgame, I'll like this. But at this point, we're like 5 fucking years removed from Endgame, and they haven't done anything interesting since. They haven't done anything that makes me, like, the most interesting thing they did was like Loki, which is crazy to say. A 2-season Disney Plus show is like the most interesting thing we've done. It's Loki, like that and Black Panther 2, maybe.
Shang-Chi
was good. They weren't really trying to do anything new and interesting. They were just like, let's give you a solid action movie, which I appreciate, I enjoy, but they weren't trying to push any kind of storytelling forward. They were just trying to be like, let's make a cool action movie that with all these really cool Asian actors who are really good. And it was really fucking good. It was really good. But like, I'm saying like Black Panther, I was like, oh my God, you're trying to tell a really interesting story here. Like, it's a really cool meta commentary on Chadwick Boseman's death, but also death in general. And that's why it's my favorite of the post Endgame movies. Like maybe that and Guardians 3, because they had shit to say. They were trying to tell a story. They were trying to say something. Whereas all the rest of the movies are just trying to like, well, we're legally mandated to put out a movie starring Falcon, so like I guess we'll do one. It just makes me sad, and that's why I'm hopeful yet cautiously optimistic for Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts, because both of those look like, at the very least, the filmmaking is going to be good. Which is like, I can't say the same for the rest of these movies that have come out since.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Well, I think we can sadly say we're good. What would you rate this movie out of 10?
4.5, maybe a 5 on a good day.
Okay. Yeah, I'd give it like a 5.
Yeah,
5. It's just mid 5.5 maybe, just to be nice.
I saw people on my Letterboxd giving it 3.5, and I'm like, were you guys high while watching it? Like, what the fuck? Are you serious? 3.5?
Yeah, like again, like it was like there was so much potential with this movie. Most of it, a good amount of it was disappointing, but like the performances carried it and made it entertaining for me to watch. It made me not want to change the channel because I loved watching these actors play around with the shit that they were given with.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's all I gotta say. I'll say 5.5 out of 10 for me, which is unfortunate. But I'm very looking forward to see Sam back and Joaquin back.
It's so sad though, because he's gonna come back in Doomsday. He's gonna get washed immediately, and then they're gonna replace him with fucking. It's gonna be Chris Evans coming back in Secret Wars.
You think so?
I 100% think him and all these new Avenger characters are gonna get their asses handed to them in Doomsday, and then it's just gonna be a repeat of Secret War. The villain wins in the first one, and then the second one, a new team full of characters that you used to like back in the day. Except this time they're joined by characters you also liked in 2002. You know? And it's like, dude, we are now coasting off nostalgia that is old enough to rent a fucking car.
That's true.
The shit we're referencing is 25 years old. What are we doing? Can we like do something new and interesting instead of going like, hey, do you guys want to see 90-year-old Ian McKellen try to act like he knows how to do magnetism again? Like,
yeah.
God bless them. No, I don't feel like that's going to be the most compelling story.
Yeah. All right. Let's cool out for a second and talk about nice stuff now.
This is going to be relatively nicer, because I think I can forgive this series for similar issues, because it has extenuating circumstances. It's a whole different deal. You know, I at least liked what came before it.
Jeez. But yeah, so we're gonna move on to now the Daredevil section. So now, people, Daredevil Born Again came out 2 weeks ago on Disney Plus. It is the reboot, kind of, not really reboot, kind of like a soft reboot / sequel series to the Netflix Daredevil series.
I would say honestly, it's a straight sequel so far.
Yeah, it's a straight sequel so far. Like obviously, you know, we've been. I mean, if people who are new to us, or people that who don't know, or people that have stuck with us for a while and do know, me and Seamus are huge Daredevil fans, comic book wise and Marvel Netflix wise. The Daredevil is like my favorite superhero show of all time. Love it. It was we've been advocating for years. Obviously have to thank. Shout out to hashtag Save Daredevil, because y'all did it. We did it. To bring the show back.
We were there on the ground floor of that movement.
Yeah, exactly. We were there day one with picket signs. But now it's happened. It's here. You know, the show is back. Charlie Cox is back. Vincent D'Onofrio's back. Deborah Ann Wool and Elton Henson are back. Yeah, man. So, and they dropped the first. They dropped 2 weeks ago. They dropped the first 2 episodes, and last week was the third episode. And so Seamus, listen. Our day has come. Our day has come. We've been waiting for this day for like 6.5 years. What are your? We'll do overall thoughts right now, so non-spoiler, and then we'll go into spoilers when the time comes for it. But yeah, give me your overall thoughts of what you think of the show so far. First 3 episodes.
This show, this show for me, I enjoy it. I think it's good. I don't think it's as good as the original Daredevil. I think it is doing a very valiant attempt to live up to the legacy that the Netflix show left for it. And I think it's doing a pretty good job so far. There are issues that I have, but those issues, like I mentioned earlier, are due to extenuating circumstances and due to an honest attempt to make the show better. Because they filmed 6 episodes. Kevin Feige was not rocking with those 6 episodes. He got an entirely new crew and showrunner and writers in to redo it. They split the season because it was originally going to be like 15 episodes. They split it in half to like 2 8-episode seasons.
Yeah.
And this season primarily uses a lot of the footage and storylines from that scrapped first 6 episodes. And so you can definitely tell that there are 2 competing shows going on at the same time. And despite that, I still really enjoy this show. I really enjoyed the first 3 episodes. I think they were effective. I think they were trying to say something. I think a lot of the storytelling involved succeeded for me, even though I might have some issues with like some CGI usage, some shot usage, some weird cuts and storyline beats that I am personally letting slide a little bit because I'm chalking it up to the fact that they're trying to reuse a story that they didn't write to fit their story that they're going to tell at the end of this season / season 2. And I think that as a whole, considering those circumstances, considering everything involved, it's a really good show so far, honestly. And every so far these last 2 weeks, I've been expecting like maybe this next one's going to be the one that I'm going to be like, oh. So far, it hasn't happened. It doesn't look like it's going to happen either with next week's episode. But I so far am really, really liking it, and I really enjoy the story they're trying to.
For me, kind of similar to you. Again, I kind of think they have a lot of big shoes to fill in terms of like because the Marvel Netflix shows for the overall with those first three seasons are really good. Some of the best well-written television I've seen, like I've seen in my lifetime. And again, when they announced the show was coming back, especially because it was on Disney Plus, exclusive Disney Plus, they had a lot of shoes to fill. They have it. So I mean, unfortunately, people are going to be making comparisons to this with the show to what we've gotten before. And which I think I don't know if it's fair or if it's not fair, because what you said, like they originally tried to film 6 episodes and it just wasn't working. Kevin Feige, once Bob Iger came back on and gave Kevin Feige more creative control, Kevin Feige was like, I do not like this at all, axed it, starting from scratch all over again. And you're right, it just seemed like they are reusing some of the footage and stuff from what they originally stopped because they can't scrap it. That's money, from a business perspective, they can't scrap it. That's money, being wasted, But from what I've seen for the first 3 episodes, I think overall, I really like the show a lot. It's for me, it's not. I wouldn't say it's like Daredevil season 1 or season 3. Yet. I cannot say that for sure. But I will say this is definitely some of the best Disney Plus. I think it's one of the best Disney Plus shows we have gotten so far. I think one of the best. And yeah, there are, they're working with what they shot previously, but also like I'm liking what they've done so far in terms of, especially love how more cinematic it is. I love how they're giving they're giving Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio more time, like a lot of stuff to work with, and a lot of opportunities to cook with their characters in terms of the stasis of their characters. I am liking some of the themes that they're working with in terms of like Matt's journey so far and Wilson Fisk's journey so far. This rebirth that they're both going together, I think is really interesting. And one of the big things that I was worried about when they originally shot the show previously was that I heard there were rumors that it was more so just as a long procedural, and then he was only going to be Daredevil like on like the last few episodes. I mean, obviously, like the opening 20 minutes of the first episode was a little different, but the rest of the episode of first episode as well as the first 2 episodes does seem like the case where it's like it's more Law stuff than like Daredevil stuff, which again, I was watching this with Sean, like, you know, over the weekend while we were at BlurCon. We're going through the whole show together, and well, at least the first 2 episodes, because the third one didn't come out yet. But we were kind of being like, okay, you know what, that is an issue, but I can see why people will complain about that. But it's a build up. We're trying to build Mark back up to where he should be. So like that's why, like, well, granted, like some of the stuff that we've gotten from the Law procedural stuff is very well written and has some, you know, interesting dynamics and, you know, dynamics to play with, especially when we get to like, you know, the White Tiger stuff. But
it's good. It's good. The Law stuff is good, but from what I understand of what the show originally was, it was going to be 6 straight episodes of that with no Daredevil. Which, as much as I like that stuff, I don't think I could have handled 6 straight episodes of not having Daredevil, especially if it was going to be a weekly release show. 6 whole weeks of Law procedural stuff. I might as well just go watch Suits. Like, you know, God bless you for trying that, but like that didn't really work with She-Hulk when you were doing that. Well, like let's maybe just like put that on the, you know, that's why I enjoy them putting that on the back burner a little bit to have the same split they did in the Netflix show where it was like half Daredevil, half Law stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, overall, but like I really do enjoy where the show's going. I'm just happy to see everyone back and just, you know, doing their thing, because I miss these characters so much. They're near and dear to my heart. But again, I do have my issues, and we'll probably go into that from the spoiler stuff. But overall, but again, it's the first 2 episodes, because like, so there's still a lot of more show to go to get through. Because again, it's 9 episodes, so so we'll see where it goes. But so far, I'm very optimistic. Very optimistic.
I think the stuff they're setting up is really good, and I'm very interested to judge the show more once we get past the first 6 episodes to really be able to judge the show based on the original full episodes that they've done on their own. You know what I mean? Rather than trying to Frankenstein this footage and Frankenstein a story together to make something coherent. Because Dario Scataponi, the showrunner, did Punisher, and I really like Punisher. I thought Punisher was really solid in that Netflix lineup. Yeah. And I trust him. I do trust him to an extent to do justice to the show. And I think from the inklings I've seen, I think it's really good setup, and it's you know, it just goes to show you how good the original Netflix show was and how good the people involved were. The fact that you could get this Frankenstein show that normally would actually shit the bed really hard and kind of get a good show out of it, despite the fact that it was 2 competing ideas for Daredevil.
Exactly.
That just shows you how fucking goated Daredevil is, honestly.
Exactly, man. And they did bring, like, when Kevin Feige wanted to start from that, they did bring some people back, right? From from the original series.
Because they kept the shot. The stunt coordinator and the stunt guy was from the original Daredevil Netflix. He was on the original show before it got canned, but then he stayed on when they redid everyone. So he's been on all 3 iterations, which is funny.
But yeah, and I do like the fact that before we move on to like spoilers, I do like the fact that it is actually, like, you know, again, which should have been the move to begin with, but I do like the fact that it is connected to the MCU now. So like it's canon to the MCU now. So they do little nods and references, not crazy leaps, but like, you know, nods and references, like, oh yeah, this is in the same, you know, world. So I do appreciate that as well. But yeah, man, so far I'm fucking with this show heavy, and I'm very looking forward to see where it goes in the rest of the season. But yeah, bro, you want to get into spoilers real quick? Yeah. So people, this is now your warning. So with spoilers, we're going to be breaking down each episode and, you know, to get more into depth, to get more into detail. So if you haven't watched the show yet, I will, like, leave, watch it. If you have Disney Plus, or, you know, you want to, you know, do it other ways, that's fine too. But if you don't have Disney Plus, if you have Disney Plus, go back and watch it real quick and then come back. Just so I'm gonna just, you know, put the little spoiler warning here for in a second. All right, so now we're going into spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Alrighty, so spoiler section, Seamus. All right, so first thing I want to talk about.
All the spoilers are just sad.
They're right, yeah, right.
All the spoilers are just like like half the people you want to get into get murked.
Yeah. But yeah, so with an hour in spoiler section, and so we're gonna be talking about the first episode, which is titled Heaven's Half Hour, and off rip is just like the first thing we have to talk about, which was like immediately like grabbed me immediately. Was the opening sequence, like the opening first 20 minutes. Incredible.
It was. Here's the thing. It was a little rough, but it had a vision and it had a story to tell. So I was able to let some of it slide. Some of that CGI when they're fighting in the bar, I was a little like,
yeah,
it looks a
little wonky.
And I think it's a little. They bit off a little more they could chew by doing like the infamous, once a season Daredevil oneer that they normally do every season. At the very beginning, I think was a little bold, and I don't know if they needed to do that then. But
yeah,
I think the setup they were doing, the story they were telling, and the people involved who show up were all so well taken care of and were so well used and utilized that I enjoyed the story they were telling. I enjoyed where they were going, and I enjoyed the setup that they were creating with it. So that's why I was able to let that kind of stuff slide, because I was like, oh, the CGI looks wonky. This doesn't look nearly as good as like the original Daredevil fights would look. But then like Bullseye started doing his shit, and I was like,
and then you see that shot. And see that shot here? This is the shot I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. When you see Matt grapple up and just jump off and hit Bullseye, I was like, this is good comic booky shit. I
was also able to let it slide because I also was like, you know what? They probably really got this VFX in under the wire with how close they filmed this versus how it released. You know what I mean? Like they probably really were like struggling to do this, which is why I'm like, I'm gonna let it slide, and I'm not gonna judge this as harshly as I will until I see the rest of the show. You know what I mean? Because it is a show as a whole, and I'm gonna wait a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this first like 15-20 minutes was seeing Nelson, Murdoch, and Paige together again, like almost brought tears to my eyes. I was like, oh my, this is amazing. Like I was so happy. We got introduced to Kristen McDuffie, who is, I don't have her on the slides, but she is in the Daredevil comics. She was in, I mostly know her from the later Mark Waid run of the Devil Bay arc in San Francisco. Nice to see her here, and also she has like
the actress who plays her is good, and I think they use her character. It's very faithful, and I was like, oh, that's a good shout. I like them using like it's this thing that Marvel stuff is missing. They forget that like the side characters to these heroes are like some of the most important aspects. And I'm like, I like how we're bringing back side characters who are just human people, because that's like, I love that shit,
Mm-hmm. And we get introduced to what's the retired detective's name? I know the actor's name, but but we're introduced to him, who he becomes a character, pretty much a. Why
wasn't he Cole North?
That would have been sick if he was Cole North. I don't know why he wasn't. But yeah, well, like we're seeing Nelson, Murdoch, and Paige come back, then obviously seeing Bullseye come back in that shitty costume. But I feel like in motion it worked. But obviously, like we're gonna see him. I hope to see him in full costume later in the season.
I understand in motion it worked. They're using a suit technically from the comics. It is from the comics, but like, how hard would it have been to just make the accurate one? How difficult would it have been just to throw him in? It's basically already there. You know what I mean? And
like I said, they don't have to do that much work. All they could just do is just take like the Netflix Daredevil suit, just paint it black and white, and then just shave the horns down.
Spray paint the bullseye, and that's all you got to do. And then
you got to do. But yeah, just seeing Bullseye go on a rampage and have Matt, stop him in that oneer, in Josie's bar. I thought that, even though the CGI was wonky, but it was just cool to see, dude. Like I was like,
listen, I will admit I was excited purely because I was like, I'm seeing Daredevil do shit again on my screen. It's been like 6 years.
You see Daredevil do like Daredevil shit where he's swinging with the billy club and shit. Like, yes, like it was great. But obviously, like the big twist, which again, like I think floored everyone who watched the show, was the fact that Bullseye ends up killing Foggy, and which leads to Matt crossing a line and disregarding Bullseye's life because he lost a life because he took the life of his best friend by throwing him off of the rooftop. I thought this part was incredible because you're just like, oh shit, like they're going for it. They're going for, like the Chip Zdarsky shit. Where like, yeah, like not only, but the thing is like he didn't really take a life per se. He didn't take a life, but he tried to, which again crosses moral code, which I thought was great.
It's a great character arc to be like, he was fully intending to kill that guy, but he just, by the grace of God, didn't die. You know what I mean? And I think that's really interesting to have Matt have to deal with that. And I think it's a little, listen, I love Chip Zdarsky's run. It's a little more interesting of a setup than Chip Zdarsky's run, and it makes it more of a personal issue where Matt himself is like, I didn't kill a guy, but I know in my heart I fully was trying to kill. I wanted to.
Yeah. And Foggy's dead. And it sucks because I was pissed.
They gave Foggy the coolest haircut of his life, and he honestly
they gave him drip, they gave him a beard, he looked like a man. And he was just like,
he was in Killers of the Flower Moon?
I remember, yeah, you told me when we watched it.
Yeah.
You told me when we watched it.
Didn't I put that out to you in the theater?
Yeah, you did.
When we were in the theater watching it, and I was like, it's Foggy, and you were like, no fucking way.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, it's just like, it kind of sucks because, I mean, for me, and I understand the purpose of his death throughout the course of the next 3 episodes, like throughout the arc that Matt's going on, but it just sucks because like Foggy's such an integral character to Matt, and also Karen as well, because Foggy's death impacts the relationship, and she also leaves New York to go to San Francisco, but she comes back for the court hearing with Bullseye. But like, it's just, Foggy and Karen are so integral to Daredevil's character because Matt Murdock loves being a vigilante. He's addicted to being a vigilante. But those two characters are what bring him down to earth, remind him of his humanity. And I'm just like, how can you go from here without Foggy and Karen? Like, Karen. Foggy's dead. Yeah, but Karen, I mean, she goes in the direction of the comics where like,
they're never gonna do that.
I'm saying you can do without Karen. No, I mean, but like Foggy Nelson, like, come on, Foggy, that's his backbone. I don't think he's dead. Yeah, and that's also I'm like, I don't think he's dead either. I think I have this fucking page on here, bro.
He's in witness protection, man.
Yeah, so all the thing is like people have been seeing people on social media have been putting out a very notable Easter egg where in front of on the address of the building of Nelson Murdock and Page is number 468, which is a nod to Daredevil 468, which is under the Ed Brubaker one, which is the issue titled The Secret Life of Foggy Nelson, where Vanessa Fisk helps. I think it's Vanessa Fisk helps Foggy fake his death, and he goes in a witness protection program. And so is that what you're thinking was going on here? Because immediately when the outrage happened, they were like, oh yeah, Foggy and Karen are going to be back in season 2. And you're just like, I hope it's not in flashbacks. But when this was
and the showrunner was like, guys, it's flashbacks, don't worry. And I'm like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
That I 100% believe that it's all there to be like, yeah, he faked his death. Because guess what? Bullseye, 100%. Bullseye's powers. He shot just above the heart.
He shot just above the heart.
He shot just above the heart. The bullet was coated in a poison that stops the heart for like 5 minutes or slows the heart down. It seemed like it stopped for like a minute, and that's when Daredevil hears his heart stop, and he's like, "Oh, he's dead." And then Foggy's gonna show back up like fucking Nick Fury in Age of Ultron, where he's just gonna be sitting there and going, you know what I mean? How's the lawyer, Matt? And then Matt's gonna turn around and be like, Foggy, is that you?
Yeah.
Although it would be cool if he was dead, and then season 2 is that entire part of the Chip Zdarsky run where Daredevil's in hell.
He's in hell. He has to bring him back. That'd be crazy. That would have been insane. Like Marvel would reach GOAT status immediately if they did that accurately.
Marvel would reach GOAT status if they immediately gave him his white costume in season 2, and then immediately started that entire arc where he's boxing with his dad versus demons.
And then like, he takes his horns and like he pulls them out. They're just like God, like heavenly God swords. Holy crap.
And he's like, I love you, Foggy, so much. I don't care that you're naked in hell in a cage. I'm gonna save you, man.
That would be, but I honestly don't think that Foggy's dead. I don't want him to be dead. Absolutely. But this would be a cool arc to take. But granted, like here's the thing with me, Seamus, even though I'm a big Daredevil fan, I didn't read Ed Brubaker's arc, so I don't know the details with the death of Foggy Nelson, Secret Life of Foggy Nelson. Like, can you fill me in on that? Have you read it?
Yeah, I read it a long time ago. What? It's so funny. Every time I think of that Brubaker run, I just think of that one issue where he has where he has Daredevil cheat on his wife who's in a mental institution at the time with Typhoid Mary.
Yeah, I heard about that one.
I was like, listen, Matt's supposed to be kind of shitty. He's not supposed to be that. I don't know if he's supposed to be that shitty. But yeah. It's literally like a little issue arc where literally same thing happens. Foggy gets killed. Daredevil goes on the hunt for the killer because it's not, what I mean? Like it's a different situation. He doesn't immediately fight Bullseye instantly, but he goes on the hunt for who he thinks is the killer, and then slowly over the course he starts unraveling, the inconsistencies, and then eventually is like, oh wait, Foggy's actually alive. And then Foggy's like, yeah, dude, it's the same thing. He was in a court case that was getting too hot. It was getting too involved, and he had to fake his death to kind of hide away from it all. So I think it's lining up a little bit that, and it makes sense that Vanessa, interesting aspect to the story. And I think if it stays the same, even more interesting aspect to the show, given her and Kingpin's relationship currently. Yeah, and I think her hiring Bullseye's funny if she did that.
Yeah, it is funny. He hired the most sadistic bastard ever who hates Daredevil to take out his best friend.
Yeah. Like, hey, Bullseye, you get to hurt Daredevil. You don't get to kill the guy, but you get to hurt Daredevil. And then he instantly probably was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
like you're not gonna get to really kill any. You're gonna get to kill like whoever you want. Don't kill Foggy. Don't kill Matt. But like Matt will be in pain. He will fucking despise you. And Bullseye's like, great. I love that shit.
But so far, just overall, this opening sequence I thought was really good. Granted, even though it does have like the CGI is wonky, who cares? We see fucking Bullseye and Matt fight. It's awesome. So yeah, I mean, but just to move on, just to go through the rest of the episode. What mostly it cuts to like a year later, and Matt is he starts a law firm. He disbands Nelson Murdoch and Page, starts a law firm with Kristen McDuffie. He's out of Hell's Kitchen, and he gets a pretty like successful career as a lawyer in this new law firm. Starting not, but he quits being a vigilante due to him crossing that line, and because of Foggy's death. And the first time and a big portion of a big part of the episode is that he attends the trial of Benjamin Poindexter, aka Bullseye, and that's when we do see Karen, and we learn the status of the relationship. Now Karen has moved on and lives in San Francisco. And because of that, they just they go their separate ways, and Matt just trying to not be Daredevil and just try to live his life as a lawyer. And at the same time, Wilson Fisk returns to Vanessa, who I don't have her on her slide, but Vanessa, she has embraced being Kingpin while he was away recovering from Echo being the living shit out of him, which was I don't want to reference Echo because I hated that second half of that show, but yeah, he was recovering ever since the events of Echo and was gone, and Vanessa pretty much took his place as the Kingpin of Crime, and has embraced that role. And he comes back to to be in her good graces and to repair their distant relationship and repair their marriage. But at the same time, he decides to run as the mayor of New York City, in parallels to Agent Orange, and pretty much it's these two characters starting pretty much being born again, starting fresh. Matt leaving his vigilante life behind and start anew as a lawyer in New York City, a prominent lawyer, and Wilson Fisk leaving his criminal past behind to become a beacon of hope for New York, to be a force for good in New York. But obviously we know throughout the course of the story, the episode, that and obviously of course these 3 episodes, that I don't think they can escape their past forever. So yeah. So what do you think, Sid? What do you want to bring up? What are your thoughts on their arcs or anything you want to bring up? And again, it's full spoilers, so you can go ahead and let it rip.
I think I haven't seen the MCU show this much respect to characters since like Iron Man and Cap and Endgame. Like, they really respect these characters where they're at, and they really have a interesting and compelling vision for where they go in the future, which I appreciate and I deeply, deeply enjoy. I like them using Fisk's run for mayor and paralleling it with like a Trump-esque run. I think that is a really cool and really interesting idea. And I think them playing more on Matt's guilt after he tries to kill Bullseye is it feels blasphemous for me to say, but I think it's a slight improvement on the Zdarsky run. Like Matt trying to kill a guy because he really wanted to murder a dude and failing only by chance is a much more interesting starting point than him accidentally killing a guy on drugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like in the Zdarsky run, that's only like a small blip. The rest of it, the setup where it goes, really, really good.
Really good.
We gush about that every chance we fucking get, but
yeah, of course, love it.
I think this is really interesting, and I love that diner scene. That diner scene was so
incredible.
well written, and the acting between the two. You know what I mean? Like Matt is all reserved. He's still cautious, and Fisk the entire time is like leaning over the table, and he's encroaching on Matt's space, and he's trying to like kind of pressure him in a very nonchalant way. And it's such an interesting and cool scene that illustrates their current relationship and illustrates where both characters will be going in the future.
Like, I think we referenced it when we did the reaction to the trailer. But like, I loved it. This scene is like it's probably my favorite scene throughout from what we've seen from the season so far, because it's like, I love that like they have a mutual respect for one another because of their history, because of their long history with each other, as enemies. And Matt, but Matt is being here, being, listen, like, I don't know what you're doing, but like, I'm gonna set it straight real quick. I'm gonna believe that you want to help the city because you have a love for it. You have the same love of the city for the city than I do, but you just portrayed it in a morally wrong way than I did. But I'm gonna back off and I'm gonna let you do your thing. But the moment you step out of line, I will come after you. And then Kingpin does the same thing with Matt, being like, yeah, but the moment I see you as a vigilante again, I will also come after you with the full extent of the law, because he has now legal power to do so. He doesn't have to get his hands dirty. I loved that so much. I was like, this is amazing. It was such a really good I love the rapport the rapport that they give these characters. And in this one little diner scene, I thought was it was like a Daredevil season 3 type of writing. I loved it a lot. And yeah, man, it's good stuff. And I love, and especially me and Sean when we were watching it, I love the ending of the episode where it's like, yeah, like when Fisk does win for mayor, and then you have Fisk at the rooftop, which again we're used to Matt seeing on rooftops, and there's this white light overtaking him, like he's like the guardian angel, and Matt, after he leaves his date with Heather Glenn, is at the very bottom with the people, with the red light being like, now Fisk is the guardian angel, or Matt is the devil on the ground. While in the beginning of Daredevil season 1, it was the exact opposite. Matt was in the rooftops, being the devil, being everyone's guardian devil.
It's a nice version of the normal imagery you see with each character. It's very cool.
It's very good.
It's inspired. It's an inspired take, which is what I enjoy, and it's like this show has similar issues to Captain America, but the difference is that I could tell that there is at least some inspiration involved. There's some storytelling prowess involved. They're trying to do something. They're trying to say something, which I think is at least, it's crazy that is like the bare minimum now, but like, I think they're trying to say something interesting, which I think is what's making the show more enjoyable for me than Captain America was.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, man, it's good stuff. That first episode I thought was really strong, but again, it does have its issues, like you said, that we've discussed. But it was really strong. What do you think about the BB Uric? And like I don't even know how to say it, like intermissions or like intercuts or like like those moments, like
interludes.
Interludes, yeah. What do you think
like
about
them? I think they're interesting. It's an interesting approach to take that kind of storytelling, and I think it really does. Really cool emphasis on New York City as a character, which I really like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I really love. Like it makes New York City like feel like a character, like Hell's Kitchen feel like a character. I remember Sean was also saying that, yeah, like these people actually like feel like real people like in New York. Like, know what I mean? Like these are like real people being affected by the absence of Daredevil like in their lives, Yeah. And it gave the episode because you see these scenes on the course of the whole first two episodes, but like it gives like the first episode a very like sense of like, oh, this is a real world, this is like boots on the ground type environment. This isn't like the Avengers or whatever where it's more grandiose. Like these are like like this is more like grounded type of territory, which I really appreciated. We'll talk about BB like in the next episode. But yeah, man, do you have any thoughts on episode 1 before we move on to episode 2?
Solid first episode, some issues, but I think overall it's a good watch.
Same here, man. It's a good watch. Also, we get to see Matt, go on a date. Matt, do the charm. Like I was so happy. Like, yeah, Matt. I was like, every time I was like, yeah, Matt, get that devil charm going, son. With Heather Glenn. Well, Heather Glenn's also in the comics. What happened?
I said, my boy. As soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, my boy's back.
My boy's back. Yeah. He once he sees a shorty, he just goes for it. I love it. But and Heather Glenn's also in the comics and she was a love interest, but like her character's different. She was like an heiress to like a tech industry or like a tech company or whatever, right? Not she's a therapist in this one. I think it actually works better here. But yeah. So we'll move on to episode 2 titled Optics, and yeah, man, it's just now Matt, it's a famous Godfather quote. Oh, when they think I'm out, they always try to pull me back in. No, I mean that was and we get introduced to the character of Hector Ayala, aka the White Tiger, played by the late departed Karan de los Reyes, who ends up getting. I love that part of the beginning where like he gets in a tussle he sees on New Year's Eve, he sees these guys beating the crap out of someone in the subway. He takes them out. He tries to try to save this person. Ends up having one of the guys trip and go head on into a subway car, and then it's revealed, oh yep, these guys are actually like undercover cops, and they arrest them.
He died laughing.
You died laughing when that happened?
It was so that was so comic booky. I loved it so much. That these two cops posing as criminals to catch vigilantes, and one of them ends up dying. And as soon as he gets crushed by a train, the other one turns around and is like, "I'm a cop." It's so fucking good.
Oh man, yeah. But
another thing I liked was when Matt in court is like, he couldn't have used any powers though. He didn't have his magical amulet on him. And I'm like, I love that shit.
They use him as an excuse when they find out that like he is the White Tiger, and they use that as a way to be like, you can't charge him. You can't use acts as White Tiger to implicit his motivations while in court. Like that's separate because he didn't use his amulet, he didn't use his powers. So you have to charge him just as Hector Ayala, not as the White Tiger. I thought that was really good.
It was funny.
And yeah, it was really interesting just to see Matt now. Like even though he's he's leaving his trying to leave his vigilante life behind, but he sees a guy who obviously is downtrodden because the police were abusing him while he was in their custody. And when he finds out that he is a vigilante, he has no choice but to be like, I am the best person to represent this guy because I know where he's coming from. I thought that was great. And also that leads him to, being thrust into being back into Daredevil again, slowly, but maturely, though.
I thought this episode was the weakest of the three. And I think that's due to the fact that it felt like the episode was almost entirely comprised of stuff that from the original cut of the show that they had to put in because they already had those storylines set up. But yeah, you know what I mean? This felt like it was just an entire episode from that original cut just thrown in here because they couldn't reshoot a lot of it because a lot of it was a lot of the setup for the storylines that'll go forward in the future. You know what I mean? So I liked it. I thought it was, all right, but it definitely did feel like a lot of exposition being dropped on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha. What did you think of? I'm gonna say the next bit. What do you think of? The cops, the crooked cops that they showed off. Trying to hunt down the witness, and then Matt having no choice but to beat the shit out of them because they put a gun.
I like that.
I love that scene a lot.
I like that. It was hype. The action was cut a little weird. There were a little too many. There was too much cuts going on, and I was like, "Hey, just film the thing. Just like Charlie Cox has been doing this for almost a decade. I think he knows how to do an action scene properly. I'm sure you could just film it and just let me see him fuck these two dudes up instead of having to do all these there was 8 or 9 cuts, and I'm like, I think you really only needed 4, but the scene and the moment itself, really exciting, a really good bookend of the episode. But just the way it was shot, I was a little I don't know about that. I don't really know if that looked as good as it could have been,
Yeah, sure. It was still brutal as shit. I was like, you see him break that snap that dude's on like a twig. I was like, God damn.
That was cool. But in between it, every other punch was like cut.
Yeah, I got you.
Over here. And you're like, he's just fucking 2 dudes up. If he's fucking 100 people up, I get the 100 cuts. But it's 2 dudes. I don't think really need to be getting
They could have let it breathe. They could have let it breathe a little bit more. I believe. I think you're right. But yeah, I was like, damn, that's so brilliant. And we get our primal scream. That's what we wanted. We wanted that primal scream.
That was good. I
love how he built up to it too. He was like, he had all this rage, he had to let it out. I love that. I was like, damn. So one thing I also wanted to mention as well. We get a little bit of an interesting kind of arc with Wilson Fisk and Vanessa, and that is tied to Heather Glenn, the new love interest for Matt Murdock, where she's been tasked to be, the wedding counselor, the marriage counselor for Vanessa and Wilson Fisk under NDA. So now, and I don't, and they don't know that, Matt is seeing this person. Matt is seeing that she's seeing Matt Murdock. So what do you think of this angle? I think it's kind of interesting that even the new mayor of New York, whose wife is now, his new, now the new appointed kingpin of crime, even they have to go to marriage counseling to fix their relationship because they want to be in each other's lives again. I thought that was a very interesting angle to take with their character.
I mean, I have to see where it goes, but it's a fun little setup.
It's really just a preview. It's just a little preview. Even in the next episode, they touch on it a little bit more. But yeah, I was like, that's actually a really good angle to take, and it makes Heather Glenn not just be the new love interest for Matt Murdock this season, this with the show. So I liked it a lot. But also, just the final point I want to make is that we get a little bit of a kind of a teaser, even in the last episode, where we see a mysterious person spray paint a mural of Kingpin when he gets elected. But now we see, this guy who is the actor is familiar. I haven't got his name on here, but we've seen him in stuff before. But this man appears, Heather Glenn does a book signing, talking about, psychology and also how she wants to explore the idea.
Dude, I called it immediately. I called it immediately
too. But
it's so obvious. I'm like, can you guys be a little more coy with that? Can you guys
yeah. But yeah,
we get a little bit. Surprise me a little bit. Don't just be like, ooh, who's this random dude who I'm focusing on for a couple extra minutes? It's like,
and And this person now has a conveniently mentioned that he needs help and he looks a little bit tweakish. It's a setup for Muse. Like that dude is straight up Muse. Again, like it's 3 episodes in and we haven't really seen any Muse stuff yet besides like that little appearance in the bookshop and also the spray paint of the mural that was made. But just to be like, yeah, Muse is coming. The actor who's playing him, which we knew he was playing because we saw leaks and also like casting rumors and stuff. But the actor playing him, and he's not listed here. He was in Wednesday. He was in the Wednesday show on Netflix. But it was Hunter Doohan. It was just like, oh yeah, like we know this guy, and we're just like, yeah, he's gonna be Muse. We knew this. We know. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just like Muse, just Muse showing up. I mean, like again, hopefully, when do you think we'll be actually like see him? Like we'll at least like start seeing like the twisted murder murals and all that stuff. Like I'm seeing like the next episode. Okay, I would say maybe like at least next episode, like after they do the Frank Castle stuff, but also like episode 5.
It's going to be at the tail end of next episode when Frank and Matt are getting like chased down by the corrupt police, and then they run into Muse, and then Muse is like there to also fuck them up, and they're just like, "Fuck, we're getting fucked up, dude."
But yeah, man.
Yeah.
Overall, episode 2 I thought was good. It was definitely the weaker one out of the 3, but it doesn't change the fact that it doesn't say that, which doesn't mean that it was a bad episode. It was pretty good, but it was just
it's the same thing with the rest of the show, where like it's not as good as the original, but the original was so good that me saying it's not as good as the original still means it's like an 8 out of 10 instead of like a 9. You know what I mean?
But yeah, all right. So we'll move on to episode 3, which is titled The Hollow of His Hand, and this is where we get into now the trial of Victor Ayala. I'm sorry, Hector Ayala, and yeah, I thought this episode was really good.
This episode was good.
I love it. Like again, I think this is some of the best law procedural stuff we've gotten in Daredevil. Maybe even better since the original. Maybe slightly better than the original. I love that the complexities of how Matt had to the initial angle was him it was separating his vigilante life from his personal life, but then now when they do bring the star witness, which again I love how they did that little bait and switch, because a little bit that was a really fun thing to take when the cops were tailing the PI the witness because they're trying to take him out so that he couldn't go on the stand, but inevitably when they revealed that they got to him, the corrupt cops got to him. Which do you think it was via Kingpin or the cops ended up getting to him early? I thought it made more sense if Wilson was able to catch the cops, get into the witness before they could, because he has the influence to do so. But he ended up folding, and he had no choice but to reveal to the jury that he is actually White Tiger, and that and to advocate that this man has done good time and time again, so he couldn't just out of nowhere just turn into a cop killer. I thought that was a really good angle to take. And again, it's just Matt just showcasing that he is a really good lawyer. What are your thoughts on the whole trial scene? The trial.
I loved it. I like the world building they add to superhero court cases by just all the little stuff that Matt has to deal with, and I liked him being catty as hell to that corrupt cop who he slammed his head into the floor the night before, and he's like, "I'm told you have a black eye. I'm sorry to hear that." And then he stands up and he goes, "My father always said a good cure for black eye is fast hands."
Fast hands.
and the judge is immediately like, "What? Stop!"
And I'm
dude, I love how he's so bitchy.
And I love when the cop confronted him, being like, "Oh, so you are blind, or you can just fight really well." I was like, "Listen, and he was trying to egg Matt. Like, "Listen, what are you gonna do? You're gonna tell a blind man beat you up? Like, come on now." I love how he just kept egging him on. I love that a lot. But yeah, the one thing though that I had an issue with was that I wish they could have done when they did the the recounts of going through the police reports of witnesses of the accounts of the White Tiger and demonstrating Hector's impact as a vigilante in New York. I wish they kind of showed not told a little bit, and actually we got to get to see like instances of those brave acts that kind of like a montage of all those brave acts that that Hector did as a White Tiger while Matt was going through them.
Yeah,
in court.
that would be cool.
Better. And plus, like, you know, it's unfortunate because we never really see, you know, White Tiger in action outside of that, you know, that same, you know, news forecast of him, like, you know, saving lives in a bodega. And like I would have liked to see, you know, like, you know, Kamar de los Reyes, like, you know, do his thing as a White Tiger. But, you know, I would have sold a little bit more to me, instead of, you know, just Matt just saying all these things. But yeah, I love the trial. I love the fact that, again, like, and because Matt does make some fair cases, and some fair points to the jury, he wins, and it's great. But and unfortunately, it leads to, you know, but remember the caveat was that Matt told Hector that if you go, you like once, like now that I've let the cat out the bag, no pun intended, you can't be the White Tiger anymore. Like you can't go out at night because you're gonna put your life and your family's lives in danger. But yet, I love how Hector, again, kind of speaking to Matt innately as Daredevil in a way where it's like, even like Matt, like I love how they used Hector kind of as a reflection of like Matt, of who Matt deep down, who Matt really is, even though Matt's trying to push that side of him, you know, deep down to move on. But it's like, you know, it's like that's like asking me to, like, you know, not breathe anymore. Like, you know, it's who I am. I love help. Like, I need to help people. I need to save lives. It's just like it's just a part of who he is. And that was pretty much Hector innately telling Matt, being like, no, like you being Daredevil, you wanting to protect the innocent, you saving lives is who you are, whether you like it or not. Like, you can't just bury that. You know, I love that aspect of Hector's character and that symmetry with him and Matt. I love that so much. But yeah, but also get a little bit more to the kingpinness of it, where, well, the Wilson Fisk of it and this of it. And we got a hint of it last episode where, you know, Wilson Fisk tries to bribe, inevitably uses a bribe to the police commissioner to get him on his side, and inevitably getting the police on his side. He uses, you know, BB Urich, who is people don't know, BB Urich is the new character created for the show, who is the niece of the late reporter Ben Urich, who again, I love that character in season 1 of Daredevil, who by the way who was murdered by Wilson Fisk in season 1, and I really hope that like BB catches on to that at some point and tries his best to take Wilson Fisk down.
I think it would be interesting if she already does know.
That would be even better, yeah, for sure.
She's trying to infiltrate Fisk's inner circle, so that way she can slowly get dirt on him, slowly do that, and maybe catch him slipping up at some point. And then she's the one who actually is able to take down Fisk. And
then gets justice for Ben because that's what he tried to do in season 1.
Yeah, you know? And she succeeds where he failed. And she deposes him as mayor, and then Matt gets to come in and beat the shit out of him.
Exactly. But yeah, I think that I find it very interesting that he's using BB's platform because he knows that BB's platform is what got him into office. You know, which is why also, like with Michael Gandolfini's character, was it Daniel Blake? Being, you know, kind of like an allegory to, like, you know, how Trump won with his campaign with using, you know, the younger audience and social media to get ahead and to have more influence. But he uses that to kind of push his anti-vigilante agenda, which again, he uses that in a way to have, you know, unfortunately Hector Ayala killed with now that he has control with the police, you know. But yeah, what do you think of, you know, that ending scene where you see Hector Ayala suit up and then he gets executed by what it looks like to be the Punisher, someone rocking a Punisher skull, but we all know it's going to be an arc that they should have done, but I'm happy that they're going to be doing, where it's the cops which are the cops taking up the mantle of the Punisher, the symbol of the Punisher, to use as their own, you know, agenda. What do you think about that scene?
Dude,
it's amazing.
The type of shit I've been begging for.
Yeah,
the type of shit I just begged for the last hour with Captain America, with like hoping that they would have something to say, something interesting, something that resonates with what it's like to live in America today. And they are completely nailing it by being all these corrupt cops idolize the Punisher and are going after anyone who they view as a criminal, whether or not they've actually committed a crime, or whether or not the the judicial system exonerates them or proves them guilty. They don't, you know what I mean? It's all their own view of who is a criminal and who's not. And I think it's really, 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 really interesting to pair that storyline up with Fisk becoming mayor. And I think that I am very, very excited and interested to see where this next episode goes. And I think if they nail it, it's going to be like one of my favorite MCU things ever. Like, it's going to be up there. But it was heartbreaking to see him get shot. But like,
bro,
I instantly was like, this is like incredible that they're making me feel this for a character they just introduced like an episode ago.
Yeah. And it sucks because, like, again, I would love to have seen more of White Tiger, but I feel like this part, his death is going to be necessary to enact like that arc of, you know, the cops, which I think Kingpin, like Wilson Fisk, has influence over the police because of him bribing the commissioner. But I love the fact that, like, he's kind of using, like, you know, like how Wilson Fisk in the comics when he becomes Mayor Fisk has his own Thunderbolts initiative to go after vigilantes. He's kind of using that in a way with the corrupt cops of New York, but because they just coincidentally enacting the symbol of the Punisher because they just love the Punisher so much and love what they love what their interpretation of what he stands for. You know what I mean? I love that.
I know, because I've already seen spoilers, and I know he already has like a anti-vigilante task force. I think it would be interesting if he just called it the Punisher Task Force.
Yeah.
And they all were fake Punishers. You know what I mean? And I think that would be more interesting than giving them their own like anti-vigilante task force suits and whatever the fuck. But it's small potatoes compared to.
But you know what I'm getting at, right? Like, it's just like, I like kind of like even though it's their own agenda, even though it's their own personal like mission, it's like low key kind of backed by Wilson Fisk, but he can't publicly address that, you know.
That's what I'm saying. I wish he would publicly address it and be like, these guys are actually doing a great service. And then you have a commentary on corrupt cops using the Punisher image, but you make it more like how ICE is used like in the last couple of months by like silencing anyone.
Or even better, like the Proud Boys, like during like, you know, Trump's first term. But yeah, man. And also it's crazy because like I've been wanting them to do shit like this for a while because people that don't know, this is actually stemmed on real life. There were cops in New York for years that rock Punisher skulls either on their cars, on their badges, on their uniforms in New York City. Like, this actually stems from actual like real occurrences, and it's messed up because like you like and it's a clear example of like it's been my issue, like obviously like many comic book fans issue when it comes to like, you know, the Punisher symbol, when it comes to like Punisher symbol controversy, because people misinterpret what the Punisher symbol actually means and what it represents. It is a man who is a psychopath taking matters in his own hands to become judge, jury, and executioner, which is not a good thing. It is bad for society, for the public. But they put it on stuff like cop cars, like American flags, because they just think it's cool. They don't actually, and like this also stems with, you know, with the military, like, you know, Chris Kyle in American Sniper, how like he had his friends, you know, in Afghanistan, or was Afghanistan or Iraq, rock Punisher skulls on their merch, and they called their team the Punishers because they just thought the Punisher was cool, and they misinterpreted what the character actually represents and actually means. Like, you know, so I'm so happy they're gonna do this shit.
It's funny watching them all embrace a guy who is widely considered an insane psychopath in the Marvel universe.
Right?
It's so funny too, because I see so many people defending Punisher on TikTok because they're like, well, he makes sure they never get up again and they never commit more crimes. And it's like, okay, but he's not stopping new criminals from being made. He's just killing people.
He's just killing people.
He's not doing anything to solve any of the systemic issues that causes crime. He's just killing whoever commits a crime instead of trying to, you know, maybe focus on any of the systemic issues that caused his family to be killed by organized crime, or focusing on, you know what I mean? And also, if he just went after organized crime and the crime family that did that to his family, I'd be completely behind him. But he will like just shoot a random kid who's just trying to rob a store because him and his family haven't had enough money to get any food for the last 2 weeks. You know what I mean? And he'll just shoot that kid and be like, oh yeah, another criminal off the street. And you're like, that was a 16-year-old who was trying to steal like $100 with a fake BB gun, like, and you just fucking gunned him down.
And the thing is, he's aware of that. And when cops like, you know, rock his symbol. I remember there's an iconic, infamous page of him talking, like him intercepting police that are rocking his skull. And they're like, "Oh man, we love what you're doing. You see, we got your merch." And then it's like, "No, like you guys are supposed to protect and serve. You guys had an oath. You guys are supposed to be better than me. Like you're not me. Yeah. I'm me because I said these terms for myself. Like because this is my mission, not yours. And if I ever see you guys rock the skull again, I will fucking kill you." Like Punisher hates cops that rock his symbol, hates it. Like so, I'm very curious to see when John Bernthal comes into the next episode of him being like, "Y'all are fucking idiots for rocking my symbol, and I'm gonna kill you for it." And Daredevil being like, "No, don't do that." They're just like, "What do you mean? We love you. Like stop. Like don't we're just doing what you do. Like what makes you different from us? Like you guys have fucking badges. You guys took an oath. God damn it. Like I can't wait for that part of the season. This part of the episode this week. It's gonna be amazing. And yeah, man, it's good stuff.
Good first 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed them. I liked them. Not as good as the original, but that doesn't mean they're bad. It means it's like an 8 out of 10. And I hope it gets better. I hope once we get to the episodes that are completely original from the new showrunner, I hope that's where we really see this shit start to shine.
Yeah, man. I don't even need to do any theories or anything. I'll just say just real quick.
I don't want to do any theories. We already said our theory. Foggy's not dead. That's a big
Foggy's
theory.
not dead. That's pretty much it.
That's all I want to talk about because I don't want to theorize too much because I want shit to be surprising for me, you know?
But I'll just do final thoughts on this real quick. But final thoughts, I love these 3 episodes a lot. Again, like it's big shoes to fill, but I think they're doing a really good job of trying their best to fill them, and it's good stuff. Also, I just want to real quick just say, even though he passed like 2 years ago, just R.I.P. to Kamar De Los Reyes. He's done an amazing performance, and it's a shame that we could have gotten. I would have loved to see him more as an actor, but obviously he passed away from cancer 2 years ago. But he did a really good job. So R.I.P. to you and all of your hard work. It's really appreciated. But yeah, man, Daredevil Born Again. We're back, Seamus. We're back, baby. Let's freaking go. And I'm very excited to see where the season goes. Going forward, and we can see that every Tuesday on Disney Plus. So, and we're going to be doing a full review of the rest of the season when the show ends. So we just want to do the first episode now, and then and then we're going to do the whole season as a whole in the next couple weeks. So, very looking forward to that. But yeah, Seamus, that's it, bro. We did it. We're done. But thanks for everyone who are watching this or will watch. We appreciate it. Again, we had a big crowd. I mean, we had like 12 people watching at one point.
Damn, did we really?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did, man. So
crazy.
So yeah, so the earlier time is working. Yeah, we appreciate that. We appreciate y'all's support. Again, hit the subscribe button so you can catch all our content. Hit the notification bell so you know when we drop new stuff. Again, we got some plans in the works. Again, we're going to be doing, eventually the next few weeks when Daredevil's done, we're going to be doing a review for that. Next week, we're going to be doing our review for Invincible Season 3 because the season finale just came out, and we're very excited to talk about that. That's going to be a part of our, our Invincible Continued series because, we did Invincible and Students of S.H.I.E.L.D., so we're going to be doing the continued stuff on here. And yeah, man, but be on lookout for new content when that comes. Again, I also have interviews planned as well, so be on lookout for that stuff. Check out the rest of the Unicorn After Dark. Check out the reactions. Check out the one and dones. Check out our excellence one and done that we did for Black History Month that me and Damon did together, which was really good. Again, trying to do more of those as well throughout the course of the year. Check out Transformers. Check out Deadly Class. It just finished. Again, we love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Again, we're at 300 subscribers, baby. We did it. 300 subscribers.
We did it.
I think we peaked at this point. I don't know, Shane. I don't know about you, but I think we peaked.
Listen, I love Zack Snyder.
You ain't shit for that. And hopefully we'll continue to grow going forward for the rest of the year. As always, people, get home safe. We love y'all, appreciate y'all, and we'll catch y'all next time. All right. Peace.